So my name is Alita. I am a creative developer, and I take the craziness in people's heads and make it make sense to the world. Originally, I was born in Florida. I was raised in Baltimore, which is a really, really dope city. And so I feel like with Baltimore not being a place where a lot of big projects happen and things of that sort, it really makes you work for things. It really makes you seek out opportunities and things of that sort. And, you know, I'm an older sister. I have 4 younger brothers. I have an older sister as well. So I've always been like a leader. I've always been somebody who's got to, you know, keep everybody else in order and things of that sort. So it really played into a space now with me being a producer, creative developer, because I have to organize things, find team members, stuff like that. So yeah. So my self-love moment of the week is way deeper than just me posting about it. I've always been somebody who puts everybody else before me, everybody else. And that was one of my reasons for coming to Atlanta 3 years ago. I needed to separate myself from the people I loved and cared about the most, because it was just like I was on the back burner. Everybody else, let's do what you need, make sure you're good, make sure you're straight. And then I got to a point where when I got here, it was like, oh my God, I have all this time on my hands. And I didn't know what to do with it at first. Like, I would just be anywhere and everywhere to stay busy, you know, whatever I needed to do. And then I got to the point where I was like, well, why don't you go do the things you want to do? Like, you don't need somebody to go have fun, you know? And don't get me wrong, I have some amazing friends here, but I love that moment where I get to slow down, not work, because I work 7 days a week, and just maybe go eat or go watch a movie or, I don't know, go to something that's going on in the city. And it just kind of gives you a moment to have with yourself. And I think one of the things about it for me is it made me realize how much I really like myself, because I can go have the best time, whether I got just me, 5 people, whatever in between. And so now where I'm at is I can travel by myself. You know, I can be in the house by myself. I'm not a house body. I don't really like being in the house. But yeah, it just makes you appreciate who you are. And I think when you can appreciate who you are, it brings you to this point where even when other people might question something about you or something, you're comfortable enough in yourself that that doesn't disturb you. You can take notes from it, but it's not going to like throw you off. It was like a low point to a degree. A lot happened within 6 months. I lost my grandmother, who I was extremely close to. I got into a car accident the morning of Mother's Day right after. So she passed in February. May Mother's Day morning, I was in a car accident. I got rear-ended. And then what threw me off was probably a week before I got into the car accident, I had quit my job because I was preparing to move here. And so everything got pushed back. I was in therapy for 3 months. I was waiting to get my check. Bills were piling up. So by the time I got the check, the bills sucked it up. You know how that goes. And so I was staying at home because I moved back home to save those last few months, you know, to get ready to move. And my mother said, you need to leave. Now, my mother never wanted me to move away. She was like, you need to leave. You need to leave. You need to leave. Because I can see it all on you. She's like, you need to leave. And I was just like, okay, I guess it's time for me to go. So I literally had $260, my car, and my stuff when I left. No job, no place lined up or anything. I just left. I mean, I guess the crazy thing about it was I've spent my entire life trying to plan things. I'm a very logical, it's either black or white. There's no gray area for me. So in trying to do that, I think I cheated myself of a lot of experiences. So I was like, well, what's the worst case scenario? You turn around and go back? So I got here, I want to say within the first 3 days I found a space. It was not the greatest space, but it was a space. And I stayed there for a few months, and then I've just hopped around since I've been here. Like, I never rented an apartment, always rented rooms, because I knew I had to strip down to the bare minimum if I was going to be able to do the things I wanted to do, you know, while I was here. Yeah. All you can do is have faith. I mean, and I think sometimes we cheat ourselves. We look at things like we have to always be strong or we always have to be at our top game, and that's not even realistic. We're human. You're going to get tired. You're going to burn out. You have to have points where you stop and reanalyze yourself or the things you're doing. So for me, I had to get to the point where I'm like, okay, it's okay to take a day off, because I'm a workaholic. Anybody who knows me is like, stop, take a break. And I'm like, no, I'm good, like I'm not tired. And I have worked myself into the hospital several times. So I had to go, whoosh, let's slow down, and just kind of be like, okay, it's okay if you can't figure it out right now. Just work on what you can figure out. And I feel like I have this thing where I say I'm faithful, but like full, like F-U-L-L. And that's because honestly, sometimes you're not supposed to know what's ahead of you. You're just supposed to deal with what's right there. You have to be present. And if you're present, then you get more from it right there, because the end game, once you get there, what's after that? You have to be your number one. Nobody's gonna know you like you. The things that you never share with somebody else, or only two people know, or the thoughts that you have of the emotions that you feel and whatnot. That kind of goes back to the self-love piece. You know, if you are your number one and you take care of you, the better you are, the better you can be to other people. You know, sometimes we even interact with people based off of things we're dealing with in ourselves, and we don't realize it, or we might kind of a little bit. And it causes reactions that didn't really have to be there because we didn't deal with ourselves. So I applied it to everything: family, friends, coworkers, relationships, whatever. If you're not right with you, then it's always going to have some kind of effect outside of you. It's just the fact of telling people no. I had to learn that saying no didn't make me a bad person. You know, like I felt like if I said no, it's like, oh, well, you're just being selfish. And I think we don't properly understand the definition of some of these words, okay? And that's a really big thing I've been on lately. Like, look up the definition of the word. Like, I will never say I'm humble. I am not humble. I am not going to be modest or downplay who I am. But I'm not going to be cocky either. You see what I'm saying? And it's that fine line between us hearing somebody else use a word all our lives and never going to actually look it up to understand that the context that the word is being used in is not even correct. So yes, I will be selfish. If I am tired or I am worn down, I will be selfish with my time because I need to get right with me. And then I will give to you of my time. So it was learning how to say no. I would say yes to so many people, I would run myself ragged. Like, it would be like, okay, well, I got to be here, and then I'm going to drop you off, and I'm going to go over here and leave there. And it was like, what are you doing? And honestly, in some ways, it can be harmful. Helping people too much can be harmful because you can hinder their growth. You can hinder, you know, maybe an experience they were supposed to have. You know, we try to avoid adversity so much that we end up making certain situations probably worse than what they would have been because we want to try to prevent it. It's not to prevent it, it's to get through it. Women entrepreneurs, I would just say, if it's something you really want to do, don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. I don't care if it's like one of those things where mainly men do it, or I don't know. It's so many things we face as women, you know, in that space of being in business and being in a world where we're making money. Although we work now, it's still a very far-fetched concept to men for us to run and organize and own things. You know, I think it kind of just pushes at their natural male ego a little bit, and you can't be afraid to push back. You know, I'm never afraid. I walk in the room and, hi, how are you? But I'm not leaving. I'm not backing down. I'm not going to not do something because I'm a woman. You're not going to pay me less. You know, I'm not going to downplay something. And so I think it's just being confident in who you are and standing in who you are as a woman entrepreneur. And understanding that if you want to slow down a little bit to have other parts of your life, you can do that too, you know? You shouldn't feel bad if you want to be a wife or a mother or, you know, whatever of the sort. Figure out how to make it work. You don't have to stop just because those elements fall into your life. Now, for entrepreneurs, period. I feel like in entrepreneurship, you have to understand that it's going to take a lot of sacrifice. A lot of what, in general, they would say blind faith, you know, and just understand as long as you work for it, you can have it. But you have to be on God's time and not your own time. You know, there are always things in the universe that are in place, and based off of what you do will, you know, result in what comes to you. I am Alita Melosa, and I am young and great.